There was an experience that the deadline is set on the following day of the House Committee meeting. So I support this recommendation. Members, please express your views on Mr. Lam's suggestions. Mr. Tony Che. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to, on behalf of all 18 members of G19, thank the chairperson of the Bills Committee, Mr. Martin Liao, for his leadership, as well as the effort made by all members of the Bills Committee. After 23 meetings, lasting a total of 46 hours on scrutinizing the bill, members raised over 1,000 questions during the meetings, as well as comments. And these answers were responded one by one. The administration has taken on board views made by members to amend the bill to perfect it, and this is to perform the constitutional duty stipulated by Article 23 of the Basic Law. We are now ready to complete the legislative exercise. I agree with the recommendations made by the Secretary for Security in his letter to respond to the national security risk that we may face so that the community can focus on working towards the economic development of the city. Therefore, I support the recommendations made by Mr. Jeffrey Lam and Mr. Martin Liao so that the bill can, by the earliest possible date, resume its second reading debate in the council meeting. Mr. Gary Chen. Thank you, Madam Chair. I, on behalf of DAB, all 19 members of our party, to support the recommendations made by the Secretary for Security in his letter. I also support the suggestions made by Mr. Jeffrey Lam and Mr. Tony Che and Mr. Martin Liao. We should plug the loophole as soon as possible and finish the legislative exercise and constitutional duty that has been overdue for 27 years. This is the consensus of the Council. I, together with Mr. Holden Chow and Mr. Edmund Wong, Dr. Kennedy Wong, and under the leadership of the chairperson of the Bills Committee, we seriously scrutinized the bill. I also see that members of the Bills Committee seriously scrutinized the bill and proposed constructive comments. I also see that the administration gave very clear responses to the questions made by members. This allowed us to have a very constructive discussion and allow the public to have a clear understanding of the bill. The administration has taken on board many views made by members and proposed a series of amendments. Members who did not take part in the work of the Bills Committee also provided us with a lot of support and comments. I believe all electrical members as well as members of the general public would agree that our scrutiny work was conducted in an effective manner. I think we are ready to resume second reading debate of this bill, so I support the suggestions made by Secretary Mr. Jeffrey Lam and Mr. Martin Liao so that we can focus on reviving our economy and improving people's livelihood. Thank you. Now there are a couple members who are still waiting to speak. We will have the Finance Committee meeting afterwards. I ask the Finance Committee to allow me to extend this meeting by not more than 15 minutes so that we can hear all members. Mr. Tommy Chung. Thank you, Madam Chair. To save time, I agree with what Mr. Jeffrey Lam, Mr. Martin Liao, and other members' suggestions. I give my support to the proposal made by Mr. Jeffrey Lam and Mr. Martin Liao that we should finish the legislative exercise as soon as possible. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, thank you, Madam Chair. Article 23 legislation is the constitutional duty of the SAR. This is to safeguard national security of Hong Kong. This is also to uphold the one country, two systems principle. So this bill is important. The bill shows that we are a civilized community and it balances the interest between protecting human rights as well as safeguarding national security. The Bills Committee, after it has finished its work, I see that many people expressed their happiness on the internet, and many people asked when the bill can be passed in the council. So I, as well as other members of the BPA and Mr. Jeffrey Lam, agrees that we should complete the legislative exercise as early as possible. Therefore, we agree to the recommendations made by Secretary for Security, and I also support the proposal made by Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Mrs. Regina Ip, I speak on behalf of the 6 members of the New People's Party, and we support the proposal made by the Secretary for Security as well as the proposal made by Mr. Jeffrey Lam. I thank Mr. Martin Liao, the chairperson of the Bills Committee. Under his leadership over the past week, we scrutinized the bill, and Deputy Chair of the committee, Mr. Gary Chen, also took care of our meals. Every member of the committee worked hard, and I learned a lot from other members. I also thank the administration for listening to our views and made all the necessary amendments. I'd also like to thank the Council Secretariat as well as the legal advisor. They did a lot of work. I am happy to see that we managed to finish the scrutiny of the bill so soon and that we can finish the assignment that has been overdue for 27 years. Reverend Peter Kuhn, thank you, Madam Chair. I like to thank Mr. Martin Liao as well as all the other members of the Bills Committee for their hard work. I'd also like to thank the administration. After the scrutiny of the bill by the committee, well, I understand that during the meetings, every day they had to follow up on our comments after the meeting. I think we should plug the loophole as soon as possible, which has been overdue by 27 years. So I support the recommendations made by the Secretary so that we can resume the second reading debate of the bill as soon as possible. Mr. Chen Shui-Hong, thank you, Madam Chair. I speak on behalf of all 15 members of C15 Plus, and we support the proposal as well as the report made by Mr. Martin Liao. Under the leadership of Mr. Martin Liao as well as Mr. Gary Chen, we finished the scrutiny of the bill. Since last week, the Bills Committee has rapidly commenced meetings. We had 25 meetings lasting for some 50 hours. And finally, we managed to finish the scrutiny of the bill, and the administration expeditiously responded to comments raised by members in the committee, and they submitted their proposals on amendments. The administration and members of the Bills Committee raced against the clock because we wanted to safeguard national security as soon as possible so that we can focus our effort on reviving the economy. There is an urgency to the bill, so all 15 members of C15 Plus support recommendations made by the Secretary to exempt the giving of notice of amendment as well as the giving of prior notice so that we can move on to the next step of the legislative exercise. Thank you. Mr. Stanley Ng, I speak on behalf of 7 members of the FTU. We support the recommendations made by Mr. Martin Liao, Mr. Jeffrey Lam, as well as the Secretary. These are all very good suggestions. We think that we should, as soon as possible, enact the legislation. Members who have spoken also echo this view. This is the consensus among all sectors of Hong Kong, and it shows that we are united. So, FTU supports that the bill should resume its second reading debate as soon as possible. a total of 9 members have spoken, and all views are consistent. I'd like to ask members whether you have any particular views on the report made by Mr. Martin Liu, or any particular views on resuming a second reading debate for the bill. Also, the Secretary in his letter also mentioned a number of recommendations. That is, one, to allow for the exemption of giving of prior notice so that the bill can be included in the council meeting agenda on the earliest possible date so that the bill can resume its second reading debate as early as possible. Also, the Secretary asks us to request the President to exempt the giving of notice of amendment. Also, Mr. Jeffrey Lam proposed that the deadline for submitting amendments should be set at 12 p.m. on Saturday, that is the 16th of March. On what I have just said, do members have any particular views? Please press the button if you wish to speak. So we all agree to the proposals made by Mr. Martin Liu as well as the recommendations made by Secretary in his letter. That is to resume the second reading debate of the bill as soon as possible, right? If so, that is what we're going to do. Thank you. There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.